Go with the food. No. Who sits here?
What?
Who sits here?
Who sits there?
Like the community kids, because they wrote KKK in the bathroom. Now they're writing them on books.
Thanks.
Lucky word was that. You said the word name.
Good morning, everybody. It's 9 a.m. Thank you all for being here. It's good to see everybody on here this morning. Thanks for joining us. Our agenda, which hopefully you received in advance, but also is in your chat. Cindy is listing all of our documents for the meeting today in the chat, so you'll have that as well. The time on there says 9 to 12, and I want to just go ahead and say that if we're here at 12 o'clock, somebody please drive to my office and end it for me. Let's not be here till that late. None of us want to do that, so let's try to do that. But I'm glad you're here. Thank you all so much, and let's go ahead and get started. I will turn it over to Jeremy Cameron, who's our SACSAA president, for welcoming comments, and we'll hit the running. Hey, Jeremy.
Good morning, Dr. Nolan. Very fetching beard, might I say.
I'm trying something new. I'm trying to take the years off by disguising with this.
I understand. Did any of y'all get a little spring scene there? A little noise, a little mountain, a little flowers? Did y'all have that come through? Did that come through okay, Dominic?
Yes.
Sweet. Good to see your face, bro. Dominic came down on a study tour provided by SACSAA. How many schools did you see, Dom?
I think it was 3, if I remember right.
Yeah, that's really cool. Those are really cool things. If you've never done that, Sean Bishop is new, and one of my peeps from way back over in Ohio County. I would encourage you to go on some of those as much as you can. It's always good to learn from the other programs as much as possible. 2 weeks till the official first day of spring, everybody. I didn't think sun was going to happen again. How many of y'all got 2 weeks off? No, just me. We had 2 weeks off, 9 NTI days in Daviess County. I think a lot of y'all were similar to that. That was as you know, a hard stretch for our kids. I feel like sometimes harder than, harder than a lot of the other kids that are in our district just due to home situations, especially for you programs that send kids home every day. I wanted to thank you all for coming as my last meeting as your president, minus this summer. Just wanted to thank you for all the work that you do. I know it's hard this time of year. I know that we have kids coming in and out of our programs this time of year. I added 6 in the last 2 weeks. I'm sure you've done the same. I notice a lot of increased mental health behaviors here at our day treatment a lot. It was already going up, but it's really, really up right now. So just make sure you remember that secondary PTSD is real and you need to take care of yourself. That'd be the only thing I will say as I roll to my next 4 years before retirement. Take care of your mental health, take care of your body, do what you got to do. I'm just back from 2 months off from a knee replacement because I'm old. Uh, and I want to be fresh and renewed going into the mountains in retirement. So do what you got to do, y'all. The ship will keep rolling, I promise. Take care of yourself no matter what. Um, I'm excited also. If you guys don't know Ben, Ben is our president elect. I wanted to give him a chance. Ben, are you on here already?
I don't think Ben has joined us yet.
Ta-da-da. Okay. Well, that's basically all I had to say today. Please remember we're halfway through a crazy legislative session. Ronnie will fill you in on that more. We'll try our best, right? I mean, that's all you can do. But in today's world, I know there's a lot of stresses and a lot of things going on, but take care of yourself. Take care of the kids in front of you. That's the most important thing. All right. See y'all.
Awesome. Thanks, Jeremy. Appreciate your comments this morning. And also just a reminder, thank you for your years of service on our interagency advisory group as the SACSAA president. This has been quite an interesting run. He got kind of thrown into a sudden leadership role, and we had some changes within our board. So we appreciate his leadership over the last several years. And are looking forward to Ben joining us. So,
Mhm.
and also no more talking about retirement from anybody. I feel like we've been in this together for so long and everybody's talking about retirement. Don't do that, guys. Stay with us. It's the best job in the entire world. You don't want to leave this. Uh, but I know some of you will. So, but we appreciate all the work that you all have done. And Jeremy, thank you for that as well. Notice Jeremy said 4 more years, so he's not going anywhere anytime soon. We still have some time um, with him. So thank you for that. We'll go ahead and move into our agenda. And as Jeremy said, we have the first thing on our agenda is related to the legislative session. I'm not going to share too much about that. It's been a whirlwind of a session so far. We are on day 41 of a 60-day session. I think we have maybe about what 15 more days of the regular session before the veto period, and then we'll have 3 days after that for when they come back to try to if they need to override any vetoes from the governor. So we still have a lot going on. There are a couple of things I just want to draw your attention to. The first one, most pressing for us, it is House Bill 500, which is the budget bill that's moving currently. That's the one that has the most direct impact on us currently. I've shared out in our KEXAC Now email updates and our legislative updates within that about where we stand within that. Our budget allocation remains at $12.5 million in each year of the biennial budget as proposed and passed by the House. It is now in the Senate where they are doing revisions and making their own changes and comments and additions to the budget, and we have continued to advocate within the Senate for an increase. Our request was for $18 million. We obviously did not get that in the House budget, but we're excited that we maintained our level of funding that we currently have moving in. And so we'll see what happens in the Senate, but that's probably the most pressing one for us. That's probably going to have the largest impact on all of our programs across the state. So just that is Representative Jason Petrie, who is out of Elkton. And so he is the chair of the House Appropriations and Revenue Committee, and so is in charge of developing that budget and proposing that. So we're excited about that allocation. We'll see what happens in the Senate, and that's kind of where we are with that. I just want to mention a few other bills just to get on your radar as we talk about those. The next most pressing one, I think, or most connected one to KEXAC and to our work is Senate Bill 125, which is the juvenile justice bill that is proposed by Senator Danny Carroll out of Paducah. That is a bill that has now passed out of the Senate. 37 votes yes, 0 votes no for that, and it's now moved to the House. That has had some changes as it moved, with some floor amendments and some committee amendments related to it. But essentially, this bill creates an acute mental health hospital that is specifically for juvenile justice. As you all know, and it has been in the news now for several years, we have had several high-profile cases of juveniles who needed pretty significant mental health services. And the current Department of Juvenile Justice simply does not have the resources to be able to serve those types of students. And so that has resulted in some pretty discouraging situations for those kids and for the justice system as a whole. And so Senator Carroll, has been working on that for several years now. This is the third year that he has proposed this bill. And so it has moved through the Senate. We think this year it probably will move. We have some, you never know, obviously, but it has some good momentum in it this year. In addition to the high acute mental health facility that would be built in, they are saying it will be built in a urban district within the core of the state. So there are two options for that, they're looking at Fayette or Jefferson County for that on current property that is already owned by the state. Should that get approval, that will be a 24-bed facility that will have two classrooms within the building. I've seen the designs for the building, so they have two classroom spaces within that, as well as office spaces and residential spaces for those students.
Hey, Dr.
So-
Nolan,
Yes.
on that, if everything passes and it gets approved, how far in the future before that becomes a reality, or are they going to use an existing facility and
It would
retrofit?
be a brand new built facility. They're looking at it would be a 3-year building process, they think, before they would have that open. That's kind of the projection if it passes this year and funds are allocated. So that's the hope, is that I think they're looking at a 3-year process to get it open. It would be in partnership with what they are identifying as a teaching hospital. That's what they're calling it, is that the Department of Juvenile Justice would enter into a contractual agreement with a teaching hospital where they would place mental health professionals within that facility as a learning opportunity for them as well. It would be a high security, high acute mental health hospital based program that's operated by the Department of Juvenile Justice. So 3 years we're looking. In that same bill, though, there are additional programs that have identified. Initially, they included 2 residential programs for girls, one of those being in Fayette County and the other being in Western Kentucky in the Hopkinsville area. That was revised on the floor through a committee sub, and currently in that bill, it is calling for them to build one new all-girls facility in the state, in addition to the programs that are currently operating in Boyd County and in Moorhead. So that was changed from 2 to 1, and then that passed within the Senate as well. So we'll kind of see where that's going. I think I've been a big supporter of this bill because I think we have a definite need for a mental health hospital serving students within juvenile justice. And our current hospital psychiatric service centers in the state do not have the ability to do that. And also, they're all private. And so they get to choose whether or not they accept our students when they have significant mental health needs. And as you all know, so far, they have not been able to accommodate those needs. And so this would be a situation where it's run by the state, similar to Eastern State Hospital for adults. Those of you who are familiar with that in Lexington, or they have some other programs for adults that are across the state. This would be a similar program to those, but a juvenile program. So that's Senate Bill 125. Keep your eyes on that as it moves through the House, and we'll see where that goes. Senate Bill 101 is a bill that has also moved already through the Senate. It's now in the House. That is a bill that is related to expelling students for up to 12 months if there's a physical assault of a school district employee. This was also proposed last year, but didn't make it through. But this year it has made it through the Senate so far. We think that may have some impact on our programs as well. Obviously, on some of our day treatment programs, particularly for districts that would may have previously placed students into those programs now would have the option. Actually, it wouldn't be the option, it'd be required expulsion for 12 months.
Ronnie,
Assault.
uh,
Yeah,
tell
Jeremy.
me if I'm wrong, but didn't Representative Truitt have that in his bill that passed and was signed by the governor 2 years ago?
No, it was a different, he had a different angle on that. It gave the option of being able to do that or placing kids into a virtual program that you can reassign a student without their
Right.
consent. This would put a required expulsion for an assault on a school staff member.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so it takes that a little bit further.
Yeah.
A lot of programs, I'll just say, a lot of like advocacy groups have not been really excited about this bill, just because it takes the discretion away from the school district about what we think might be best for a student in a situation. Maybe a student who typically has not had any real issue, maybe something happened and so it takes away that discretion. So there's been a little bit of pushback around this bill, but it did pass out of the Senate pretty quickly. And so we think that, it could have some momentum getting in the House as well. And then the other one that has some direct impact on our programs is Senate Bill 162. Senate Bill 162 will eliminate fair teams. That is one of the biggest things that relates to us within that bill. Many of you who are in day treatment programs know that fair teams have served as one way of referral for students into a DJJ contracted day treatment program. Fair teams have been relatively, I guess, controversial in recent years, especially with the legislature. And so this bill would eliminate fair teams and the referral process that comes along with fair teams for DJJ day treatment programs. And so that has passed the Senate. Again, I think it was almost unanimously. I think it was 30-7. And then it's currently in the House. And so, again, direct impact on our programs. If fair teams are eliminated, then that pathway for student placement into day treatment programs would also be eliminated, which we just added, I think back in 2020. I think we added the fair team option as a referral into day treatment programs because our numbers had dwindled so far in day treatments about how students were placed there. So those are kind of some of the big bills that I have just on my radar. Trying to see, let's see if there's anything else that's going in that's major. There's lots of other bills, as you all know. I think the last count, there was about 975 total bills that have been proposed by the General Assembly. Almost all of those, it feels like, have some education connection. But these are kind of the ones that have direct impact on our programs. Does anybody have any questions about any of those or comments to add? Awesome. Well, if you do, please feel free to reach out. I'd be happy to have conversations about any of those. We try to stay up to date on any of the legislation that's moving and kind of what's happening, especially if it has direct impact on our
Hey, Ronnie,
programs.
I did have a
Yes,
question.
sure.
Did the stuff that was kind of riding, I think it was in the budget, where our healthcare was going to go up, did that get out? There was
So that was in House Bill 500, that is the budget bill.
yes,
There was a cap that was originally included on what the state would contribute toward healthcare premiums for state employees, um, and which would have effectively said, okay, if our insurance cost $1,000 a month per person, the state is willing to pay their part, but only up to, say, $500, which essentially would mean that the other $500 would be passed on to the employee. That was in the original budget bill, but it was taken out
I
before
thought
that
so.
passed out of the
Yeah,
House. So that was taken out after a lot of advocacy work by a lot of people, probably
yeah.
including many of you here, talked with your legislator about that and about the significant impact that would have had on teachers in particular in Kentucky. So we're excited that that was taken out. Again,
Yeah.
it's in the Senate. You never know what's going to happen in the Senate or what will end up in the agreed upon bill once it goes. But I think they've heard the message loud and clear, and I hope that it stays out.
Hope so. So just for reference for all you all, the legislature over the last 10 years has taken excess funds out of the medical fund to the tune of $1.2 billion back to the general fund. So it's not that our premiums haven't been covering everything, and it's not that our local districts paying to the state hasn't covered everything. There's been more than enough money, just so everybody kind of understands that. So you have a talking point if you ever need it. There's been more than enough funds and excess. If it would have been left alone, potentially our premiums could have went the other way. So just keep that in mind. It's not illegal, but in my mind, it's definitely not ethical if we're trying to keep state employees.
Thanks, Jeremy.
Ronnie, can I
Yeah.
ask one question, please? Can
Yes.
you hear me?
Yes.
It's Kim, sorry. On the one relating to the expulsion after the 12 months for the assault of a teacher, whatever, those students can still be referred to a day treatment program with a court order, correct? Or are we saying you're expelled, period? That's what I'm trying to figure out. I would prefer those kids to go to a day treatment program instead of being at home on a virtual platform for 12 months.
Yeah, I agree. But the way that the legislation, my understanding is that it would be an expulsion, automatic expulsion, which would not mean that they could attend a district operated program. They would have to be expelled for that 12-month period.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Again, that's part of the reason I think that a lot of advocacy groups have been vocal about this particular bill, is that it doesn't give districts the discretion to say, hey, we have a day treatment program. Not every district does, as you know. We have one, and we think that would be a good avenue for this particular student. But this bill really doesn't seem to eliminate that as an option. It puts an automatic expulsion within that.
I have a question as far as what if it's a special education student? Would they be exempt and the ARC takes the reins on that decision?
You know, that is exactly one of the questions that we've been asking and that other groups have been asking. And so that's one of those caveats that we hope that they will address as they go through this. But the directors of special ed, as you know, have been asking that same question about how this impacts particular populations. The way it was originally written, I don't think that it took that into consideration. And so we're hoping that this will not move all the way through just because of those caveats. One, the discretion that districts have. Two, impacts on students with special education or identified issues within their IEP that may not be taken into consideration. So all of those things come into this with that particular bill. Lots of questions, lots of gray area, we think. Good point. Any other questions about any of those or others? If you do, feel free to you can send me an email, give me a call, put it in the chat, whatever you'd like to do, and we'd be happy to talk about any of those that are moving through. But I do want to go ahead and move into our next section, which is our alternative education programs of distinction. The Department of Education started last fall with a process to identify alternative education programs of distinction in Kentucky. There was a application or nomination process that started, I think, way back in August that resulted in a desk audit and then site visits, and then eventually, just in February, the identification of those programs. So I was really excited to be invited to be a part of that review team by the Department of Education. And so I got to visit, I think we had 24 programs that were either nominated or applied in Kentucky. I think we visited 14 of those programs after a desk audit was conducted at KDE. And then of those 14, 6 were identified as alternative education programs of distinction. I'm really excited that through that process, and I'm not surprised, I'm excited that 4 of the 6 programs that were identified were programs, and we're really excited about that. And I'll just share with you who those are. The Ascension Academy in Shelby County, which the principal, Ben Roberts, who is now our SACSAA president-elect, that program was identified. The Hopkins County Day Treatment with Nathan Houghton. Nathan is on here, but he's traveling today, so he's jumping in on and off, I think, with his phone and maybe an airport somewhere. The Corbin Education Center with Principal Lori Barton was identified. the Providence School with new principal Jesse Law, and then the district alternative education director, Justin Ury, who has worked with that program for several years. We're excited about those. And then the other two non-KEXAC programs that were identified were the Learning Center in Fayette County, which is an A5 alternative program for the district, and the Regional Schools Program, which is a school program operated by the Northern Kentucky Educational Co-op that serves 11 different school districts in Northern Kentucky. And those two were non-KEXAC programs that were identified. But we're really excited about that. And I'm happy that those programs were selected. And I visited all of them. They were exceptional, as many of our programs were when we visited them. I don't think I went to any program where I thought, oh, no, this one, they got it wrong. They were all exceptional. So I'm really excited about that. And congratulations to all of those programs that were selected as well. Which leads us into some program changes that we have coming up for the next year. I just want to draw your attention to those. One, we have a new program that I just want to mention. We have Michael Jones, who is the principal of the Thrive Academy in Nelson County. I think Michael is on here. I think I saw him on here earlier. If you're there, welcome. Glad you're here. This is a new contracted DJJ day treatment program that was opened mid-school year in Nelson County. And so that one just came on board. I think the official contract and everything was signed in December. So they started fresh with us in this semester, and we're happy that they are with us. That is an existing program that was already operating within Nelson County. And so the Department of Juvenile Justice identified that as an area of need for the state, and so entered into a contract with Nelson County Public Schools to operate that program as well. So we're excited that they are here. We have your agenda says 2 new programs opening in Jefferson County in the next year. We have one program that it's one program that's going to be opening within the next year. And I think DJJ has been working with Daniil and others within the district about that program, but there's a new residential DJJ program that will be opening in Jefferson during the next upcoming school year. I'm not sure exactly the timeline on that. We've heard some different dates about what that might be, ranging from July 1 to October 30th, somewhere in there, who knows? But hopefully we'll have a little more guidance about that as we get closer. So we'll see.
Hey, Dr. Nolan, is that,
Yes.
do you know, and I might have missed it, is that boys and girls or one or the other?
The one in Jefferson,
Yes.
it will be all boys.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
There is only, according to state law, the way the state law is currently written, girls have to be separated out from boys. They can't be in the same facility, which is why in the Senate Bill 125, they're asking for a new all-girls facility. They have to be housed separate. And that's a result of some issues, as you guys probably saw in the news several years ago, where there were some instances within a juvenile facility where boys and girls were mixed. And so they have those separated out now. I think those are our major changes that we have coming up for the next year. We have some others that are in the pipeline that we're having discussions with DJJ and others and other districts about, and so we'll keep you posted as we add new programs in coming up. But I share those only because, as you all know, while the General Assembly and House Bill 500, which is the budget bill, still has our allocation at $12.5 million, the per child rate varies for us depending on the total number of students that we have within our system. And so whenever we have new programs that are being added, that impacts our overall bottom line for everybody, right? So the total dollar amount that we have is divided by the total number of kids that we have, and then it's equally distributed in that way. And the more kids we have in the system, the lower the rate is for everybody. So I share that we have those new programs that are coming in. But then we also have some additional programs that are in discussion that may be added before we have our distributions that come up in early May when we make those decisions. We do have an April 1st deadline of notifying us if there's any new programs that are officially coming in so that we can include those in our distributions in our calculations for next year. So we try to have all of those decisions made by April 1st. So we have that. But again, there are several that are in the pipeline that we're talking about currently that may join us or may not. We have one program in one of our districts that had previously closed, and they have reopened. But currently, the district has said, and the program has said, oh, we don't want to do the extended programs. We don't want to do the smaller classrooms. We're just going to enroll those in our traditional school, and those kids will go to our traditional school and they'll do whatever, and that's fine. But that may change before our April 1st deadline. So if it does, we'll keep you posted on that as well. And then I share that because moving directly into our next item on the agenda, you'll see our budget issues in there. We have our per child rate. And so I wanted to share that as we have more students added into the pot, if we continue in our budget cycle and we get the $12.5 million that's allocated for next year, if we look at that, our per child rate going into next school year currently would be about $6,742 per student. That is a reduction of about $262 per student currently. So that would be a reduction just based on the numbers that we have right now. Again, what we've seen over the last year, when we take our average daily membership reports and we look at those, most of our programs have had an increase in the number of kids that you're currently serving. And so as we take those averages, the averages are higher this school year than they were in the previous school year. And so that impacts the overall allocation for everybody. Again, that is a projection. That's where we're sitting right now. We have one more child count day that will come into effect. That's March 15th. Once we have that, and then we have our April 1st deadline of any new programs that are coming in. We'll have a much better idea of what our per child rate will be for next year. But right now it's looking at right about $6,742 is the projection. Any questions about kind of where that is? The other thing that we do, we always, and you'll see it's in your handouts, if you click on that link that Cindy put in the chat, there is a handout around our per child rate projection for next year. And so you can see kind of our total allocation if we keep that. And then also we have some reserve funds that we also always hold back that we don't distribute out. We have $201,000 of funds that we are not distributing, that we plan to hold back and not distribute initially for the next school year. We do that just in case there is a budget reduction mid-year. We don't have to take funds back from school districts that have already been awarded. But if we end up into January, February, and we don't have those reductions in the mid-year, we then redistribute those funds back out through our special allocation of targeted funds, which is our mini grant application process. And so we anticipate doing that again next year when we have that $201,000 that's available there. And related to that on our agenda, you'll see the special allocation of targeted funds for 2025. And I think I will turn it over to Sherry Kleske, who's going to talk a little bit about that. And it's also in your handouts in the chat.
Good morning, everyone. It's great to see all these smiling faces, even if it is on Zoom. Our special allocation of targeted funds for 2006, we had 41 programs that applied, and for a total of $256,262 that was given out. This year, some of you may have not received the full amount that you requested because we did have a lot of programs apply for that. So because of that, your amounts may be a little bit smaller. It's always exciting to be the one that's giving out money. So it's one of my favorite things that I get to do at SACSAA is to read through your all's application. We meet as a team, and then we decide and determine who is getting what. And we try to fund them as much as possible, the whole amount. But this year, again, because there was so many, everyone did not get the full amount that they requested. Cindy, if you want to go ahead and put that up there on the screen. I was just going to talk a little bit about some of the interesting things that everybody had requested funds for. We had a greenhouse, the materials for a greenhouse, computers, just general supplies for their classroom, because we all know that we never have enough money to buy all the things we need for our classrooms. So some of the requests were just for general items for the classroom. The supplemental funding, we had several programs that requested to bring someone in to their program and to pay them a stipend. Art teachers, things that our kids do not get exposed to normally with their teachers. So they bring in somebody that can do music, art, exercise, yoga, those kind of things. So several people asked for supplemental. Another interesting one was DeWalt tools and an chicken incubator. You know, sometimes you read that and you think, well, but it's all things that that program is going to use to teach our kids life skills, to teach our kids things that they need to know that they are not exposed to. So, resources for PE. One of the things that I thought was interesting that one of our programs applied for was the tokens for kids that are that have gone through a recovery program, in order for them to have that. And I thought that was just such a great idea to acknowledge them for the work that they did in recovery. So that's one of the exciting things. I always try to start it in January. It ended in February this year, and the districts were notified by February 17th. So if you've not been notified, or if some reason there was a question, you should have already been notified about the amount that you were receiving. Any questions about that? All right. Well, I'll turn it back over to Ronnie.
Awesome. Thank you, Sherry. I appreciate that.
Thanks.
And then if anybody has any questions about that, obviously, please feel free to let us know either in the chat or by email, and we'd be happy to share kind of our thought process or how that works. I do want to share just a quick update related to our memorandum of agreement. Again, those typically go out from our office at the beginning of May for the next school year, which is the memorandum of agreement is our contract with our local school districts. I do want to draw your attention that we are making one change to that MOA for this upcoming year. I don't think it will impact any of you directly, but we are making this change, and that is specifically related to virtual school enrollment for our programs. We will be adding a statement within and a section within our MOA that our students cannot be enrolled in a strictly virtual school program that's operated by your district or by any other district within the state. Only because we have had several questions this past year. People who said, you know, we know that there is a new state law that says the district can enroll a student involuntarily into a virtual school program that's operated by their district or by a partnering district. And we've had questions of, can we put all of our SACSAA kids into a virtual school and we just have them on a computer all day and we don't have a teacher there and we just have them, you know, they are in a virtual school like anybody that would be at home. And that is not we are interested in. It's not what our students expect or deserve or need. And so especially for the funding that we're providing of over $7,000 or almost $7,000 per year, we don't expect them to be enrolled in a virtual academy. We expect them to be with a certified teacher, which has always been our expectation, and this will just clarify that. Now, I know many of you may say, well, what about, you know, we use Edmentum or we use Edgenuity or we use others. Those are supplemental online instructional resources that you use in your class, and that's fine. Again, we would not obviously want that to be 100% of their time, but this is an issue that we have particularly related to our state agency kids, and so we want them with a certified teacher as they are moving through their education. I think Ben has a question.
Yes, and I'm sorry to interrupt, Ronnie. Question on that one would be, what if, because we're going to get in these moments, what if a judge says that they cannot be within a building, which puts the district in a situation of online enrolling them? I do have two particular students that are in that situation.
I think we'd be happy to have that conversation with you. But we are looking at a pretty blanket statement within our contract that would not permit our districts as a kind of unilateral enrollment within a virtual program. If there was a particular issue with that, we'd be happy to have that conversation. But we want to make sure that our districts are not moving toward a virtual school option for our students.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. I agree with you 100, 1,000% on that one. We've just been put in a situation twice this year where like we have two offenders and they don't want them around each other. There's a no contact. And then so we have to kind of negotiate and our judge has, like this year, has put one online.
I'd be happy to have that conversation with you about how we can
Okay.
handle that.
Appreciate it.
Other questions
that's-
about that? Go ahead.
Oh,
Somebody.
I was just going to comment. That's one of the things when you get into school, student attendance, there's always the what if scenarios. And those are always looked at as a special case. And like Ronnie said, we'll have a conversation about those because every year something will come up that doesn't fit in that nice little box. So just keep that in mind. But we wanted it to be to where everybody was aware that it's not best practice to have a kid all virtual, never interact. And we all say that over and over. So
Yeah. And I don't think that there's any of our districts that would move in this direction, but we feel like we're paying a pretty significant sum of funds for the services that we're asking districts to do. And we know that it's not the full coverage of the cost. We get that. But in comparison to the $2,300 we paid previously, we feel like nearly $7,000 per student is a significant investment in the education. And so I would not want a district to move toward, and not that anybody would, but I don't want it to be a situation where this becomes like a huge cash cow for a district where they're getting, once you add in SEEK and you add in IDEA funds, I mean, they could be getting $15,000 to $20,000 per student, and it's very easy to put a kid on virtual, and you could probably, if they're on virtual with one teacher and 100 kids, and I mean, you could get away with your spending, $750 to $1,000 a kid on that. And you're pocketing a lot of money within the district, and that's not the services that our kids need. We know that our students are significantly behind grade level when they enter into our programs, and so we should be doing additional services to make sure that we're closing those gaps. So that's where we're moving in that direction. I'll also share that I think that the Department of Juvenile Justice is also including a similar statement in their contract for DJJ programs as well moving forward. Very similar. Any other questions about any of that? All right, I'll turn it back to Sherry, who I think is going to share some
You mentioned
information
something
related to the
that
Oh, Jeremy.
piqued something in my brain. I apologize. You said DJJ. So if you're a DJJ program and you had to do handle with care last summer, I don't know about y'all's program, but our dates were basically handed down to us, and it was right in the middle of the only time off in the year our staff had. So I reached out to Shannon this week, and you will have a repeat handle with care training this summer sometime. They're scheduling them right now. We don't know when yet, but if you have preferential dates that you can send to Shannon, I would and let her advocate for us, and see what can happen. They may still just slap down dates, but I would definitely want to try to marry them with the schedule that works best for you all.
Awesome. Thanks, Jeremy. And again, that's specifically for those DJJ programs. If you're a DCBS program, that one doesn't impact you. But again, last summer they had the handle with care. I think that they sent out dates. It was the last week of June, which is when most of our programs are not in session. So just be aware of that for this coming year as well. Good call, Jeremy. Thank you. All right, Sherry Klusky.
All right. And Cindy, if you will put up the census preview for me and share that on the screen. Of course, every December we collect the data about what's going on in our programs, and I appreciate you all so much. I probably aggravate you to death trying to make sure our numbers are accurate and all the information is accurate. One of the things that's come out of this over me doing this for the last couple of years is there will be a training at the summit this summer about filling out for your census. We get some good information, but there's still some areas that I think people have questions on what they need to put in that, in that category. For example, if you tell me you have 12 kids, and then I ask you, how many kids did you have for the 12-month period? And you tell me 0, that's a problem. So we're going to do a training this summer at the conference and hopefully we'll have like a little jump drive to give you, and we'll go ahead and fill out all the categories that we can for the 2026 one to try to improve our information that we're getting out to collect. So as you look at this, you can see in 2025, we had 45 districts and 69 programs. We gained some programs, we lost some programs. So that put us at 69 for the year for 2025. If you look at our December 1 count, we have an increase of 23 from the previous year of students. On our 12-month count, we have an increase of 351. We went from 8,668 to 9,019. I was very surprised by our special needs category. We actually went down 12 students. We went from 739 in 2024 to 727 in 2025. Our DJJ programs, we have 37 programs in 2025, and within that 37 programs, they had 747 students. They were down 3 from the previous year. Our DCBS programs, we have 30 of those, and the students in the DCBS programs are 850. Again, they're up 22 students. And the DJJ and the DCBS programs, they always are very close in the changes that they have throughout the year, unless something dramatic goes, like when the fair team, all of that was passed. That really impacted our DJJ programs. So the numbers in our DJJ programs really went down. But typically they stay, and you can look at the 3 years that's there and see the impact of that. They pretty much stay about the same as far as the number of students. Our mental health day treatment programs, we only have 2 of those within the state, and their numbers also are always pretty consistent. You can look in 2024, there was 7, and in 2025, there was 31 of those. So an increase of 4. Our numbers are pretty consistent for all the programs. When you're just changing 22, 3, 22, those numbers, that tells you that we're staying pretty much the same in our programs. Does anybody have any questions about the census process, or the actual report should be finished and you can have a copy? There'll be a copy online, probably within the next 2 weeks. Any questions, concerns? I love when I do stuff and nobody has any questions. So our next project that we're talking about is the art contest. We have 3 different contests throughout the school year, and I appreciate you all so much taking the time, being involved with your students, letting your students participate, because I know that is a lot for you all to do. And you all have got a lot going on. And so we really, really appreciate everything that you do in order to help us. Cindy does a phenomenal job. She helps gather all the information, organizes it to make our life easier when we have to sit and vote on them. What you're looking at is some of the art that has won, and I'll go through. And I want to do a really big shout out to Purchase Youth Village and the work that James has done there. He has all of his kids participating. He had some first place winners in middle school and high school. So, James, you deserve a shout out in the work that you're doing there at Purchase Youth Village. We really, really appreciate you. We wanted to give you all an opportunity to see them, so that's why we're sharing them on the screen. And I'm just going to tell you who the first place, second place winners was. The first place winner was from Purchase Youth Village. The second place was from Knox Appalachian School in the middle school category. In the high school category, first place was Purchase Youth Village. Second place was Otter Creek. These students received a gift card, a recognition certificate, and it's all something to show them, hey, you did a great job. And we really appreciate, again, you all taking the time for our students to get to participate in these events. We started this about 4 years ago, and we've had great participation, and it's so important to showcase the wonderful work that our students do. Any questions? Any comments? Cindy, do you have anything you want to add? Because you do all of this, so I want to make sure you get credit. All right. That's all I got.
Awesome. Thank you. And congratulations to all of our winners and to all of our teachers who worked with them. Many of you have your teachers in your program who submit these. So we're really excited about that. Be sure to thank them for all of their work too and getting these submitted. We do want to draw your attention to a couple of deadlines that are coming up that we want to make you aware of. I'd already mentioned previously that we have our next child count date, which is actually March 13th because the 15th is a Sunday, I think. So that will be our final ADM report for this school year, where we will use that to determine your per child rate and your average daily membership for the year. I will just draw your attention to that we do have, once we get those numbers on that March 13th, Christine Smith in our office will review all of those along with Sherry. We'll come up with your average for the school year based on the 3 different points in time that we have, which is October 15th, December 1st, and March 13th. We will then send those numbers back to you for verification and say, hey, here's what we've reported out of Infinite Campus. We see here that you had 10 students, 15 students, and 10 students on these different dates. Your average looks like it's going to be about 12 students based on these 3 different dates and time. Does this align with what you have reported in your system? And you would have an opportunity to appeal that number if it is not reflective of your enrollment. Once we have that appeal window ends, then we will have our actual number of students who are enrolled for the year that our per child rate will be based on. So just keep that in mind that we will pull that data on the 13th. We'll send you verification for that. And then there will be an appeal process or opportunity for you if it doesn't accurately reflect your enrollments for the school year. Okay. March 31st, again, that's the deadline for new programs who are applying. If you want to be a new CSAC program, or if you have April 1st changes in your capacity in your program. So if you have, for example, you're in a residential program that's affiliated with the Department for Community-Based Services, and they have added a new wing onto your facility or opened a new unit, and that changed your capacity as reflected for CACSAC, then please notify us by that time so that we can get a copy of that child care license and accurately reflect the capacity for your program so that we don't limit your funding potential for the coming year. That's important for us for a couple of reasons, but the primary reason why it's so critically important for you is that we don't fund any district above the rated capacity for their program. So if your rated capacity says that you have space for 30 kids and your ADM reports are showing that you have 32, we knock that 32 down to 30. So we only fund at the top of what the official capacity is for the program. So if that capacity has changed, it's important for you to reflect that back with us so that we fund you for the number of kids you have, not just the capacity limit as set by either your child care license or by DJJ. Okay. So again, those are the three important deadlines coming up really soon. In addition to that, we have a few more things that we just want to talk about. The 25th annual Kentucky Alternative Education Summit is scheduled for this summer for July 28th and 29th. That is going to be again at the Embassy Suites in Lexington. We just got notice that the DJJ program, DJJ typically has a one-day event as well. They have scheduled that for July 27th at the same place. So that would be I think that's the Monday, the 27th. We will be Tuesday and Wednesday. And then we also know that KASA's summer conference starts on the 29th and goes 29th, 30th, and 31st, and that one's in Louisville. So we have a lot of stuff going on that last week, but just want to make sure that you guys are aware of that on your agenda as well. Katie, do you have anything you want to add to that? Katie Helton is our person who coordinates all of these great events.
I want to say that we're really excited about this year's summit. Not only is the Embassy Suites going to be fully remodeled, so it will be like being in a new place, but working with the same great team. So that's really exciting. And then we've got two really high energy speakers. We've got Eric Bostic to open us up and get us going. And we've got David Edward Garcia, who will close us out and send us on our way on a high note. So we're aiming for the best year ever. So we look forward to seeing you all there.
Awesome. And that is going to be our theme for this year, best year ever. So that's what we're heading into. We hope that you all will join us for that. Justin Hubbard.
Oftentimes Title I does something during that same week as well. Do we know if they're planning a day for Title I people for like G mapping and all that yet?
They are not. So we have entered into a partnership with the Department of Education's Office of Title I with Monica and her team. And so they will be doing one session during our summit instead of a separate event.
Justin, you may just tentatively hang on to that Monday though, because there may be something coming out then, depending on contracts and all that kind of stuff.
Well, we know Monday the 27th, DJJ is having an all-day training.
So that's for sure now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. The other thing, new educators training is scheduled for August 27th. We have not secured a location for that yet, but we'll let you know as soon as we have that. And then our fall SACSAA meeting is scheduled for September 4th. And again, we haven't located a location for that yet, but just get that on your calendar for next school year as well. And those are kind of our upcoming dates that are critical for us. Any questions about anything that we've covered so far today? Cindy, you've unmuted. You look like you're ready to talk. No?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
We have got a location for fall SACSAA.
Oh, good.
It's the Kentucky Historical Society again in Frankfort.
Perfect. All right. And we will also share that out with you, obviously, as we get closer to that date as well. All right. Jeremy, I think I'm going to turn back to you for some spotlighting and some highlights from programs that folks want to share. And I know that you typically like to start that and share some good things that are happening. And if you have other things that you'd like to add, now the floor is yours.
All right, so I'm juggling a deadline. I'm going to keep it quick today because I've got another meeting online in about 5 minutes. So I'm not in a rush at all, but I will say I've heard some really cool stuff. I sent two educators this year personally to the ITSE conference thanks to KEXEC grant funds. Last year, it was a big, the largest education technology conference in America. It was like 20,000 people there. And these guys are not crowd people. But one of the coolest things they said about it is it was like there were mini sessions. So you could go sit down, get a 15-minute, 20-minute spill, and then take 15, 20 minutes and actually apply what they were teaching you with the experts right there around you, like the people that actually created the programs, like the Google Suites or, IXL or, any of the adminims, all the education stuff's there. And they came back because they were interested in their growth plans on how to integrate AI in a positive way into education, and they have created some really cool hands-on things as a like a research tool. It helps you brainstorm. If you have a lesson that you feel like sometimes it's been a little blah and not really engaging, you can upload a PDF or even a lesson plan and say, hey, based on this lesson plan, I need some hands-on activity that might engage kids better or I want a Kagan activity. So I want to do a cooperative learning activity, and it will lay out and it'll tell you line by line, because it has the entire internet, for the most part, obviously proofread everything, but, it's put out some really cool stuff that our kids have got to do this year that were more hands-on, and it wasn't just like a worksheet or a PDF. We even took one of the PDFs that he would normally read, uploaded into Gemini, and I said, Gemini, give me 5 game ideas based on the reading in this. And Gemini spit out 5 different ideas, and I liked 2 of them, and I said, all right, for idea 1 and 5, code it. And Gemini spit out the code for a web embedded game, and I could put it into a Google site. All of a sudden, the kids had a real Jeopardy game that was created, and I did this within like 2 minutes based off the reading that we control. So the content was all off the sheet. So we knew where the information was coming from. It made it a Jeopardy game. It made a war game where you actually had to be the commander of the North or South, and decisions you made based on laws would impact, and we show you kind of what the results were if you were for the Jim Crow Act or against it. And it's a good tool if we can use it to be more creative, spark ideas, add art into social studies, math, whatever, because that's what we've been doing some here. And it's just something to think about. The tool's not going away. If anything, is accelerating quickly. So be on the front end of it as a positive versus just, hey, this kid used AI to write his paper. Like, we can do so many cool things because you can have a kid type a paper and then have AI self kind of edit for the kid and say, you might want to change this. So there's lots, it's instant feedback on writing, which is hard to do. I remember having Archie Mandy's class being up till 3 a.m. grading papers, whereas I could have scanned this in. And honestly, the AI grading in AP English, a study they did, AI graded versus teacher graded, it was actually more consistent with AI grading based on the rubric. So just use it as a tool as you investigate and play with it. The ITSE conference, I would highly encourage you to go. I know Lachina was thinking about sending some folks. Is there any other cool things? That really got me fired up this year because seriously, I don't know how to code anything. And I was able to create online games in like 4 of them in 5 minutes, 6 minutes. So is there anything else that kind of just fired you up, you're excited about? Anybody?
Gary, I just want to add, you made a really good comment in the very beginning about the study tours that we do. And, those of us here in the office at KEXAC, we want to be of service to our programs. So if there's things that you enjoy or things that we've done in the past or things that you want to see us do in the future, please let us know. Either shoot us an email or give us a call, whichever's convenient for you, but let us know some of the things because we're already starting to plan for 26, 27 and the things that we want to do for our programs. So I just wanted to add that on to your conversation.
I would like to add, would there be any way at some of the conferences coming up at some point to have a session where maybe some of the things he was just talking about are more detailed, maybe for some of our teachers to have that information on how to create those games like in 2 minutes, like you were saying, just to give us some more information to pass on to our staff?
I'd love to take a couple of I'm going to try to bring my whole staff this year if I can afford it. And I'd love to let them loose and kind of just show you. You might even email me ahead a PDF or some of the reading maybe your students have done, and I can kind of show them. Yeah, it's really it's crazy how easy it works.
That'd be great. Thank you.
And the key is always about writing the prompts.
All about prompts. Yeah.
Yes.
And Amy, I was going to just add that Sherry has been looking for AI trainers for our breakout sessions for this summer because we know that that's an area that can really enhance. They are hard to find. I'll just say that people who are really gifted at it because it is so new and it's moving so quickly. But she has reached out, I think, to a couple of the different co-ops who have some trainers. And so we're looking to get some more trainer focused folks in there who can teach us how to do that more effectively. Good point. I'll also share before someone else jumps in that we do have, Sherry mentioned our study tour and Jeremy did at the beginning. We do have one more study tour coming up that I didn't put on your agenda, but I'll just share with you. We are having a study tour in Boston again this spring for April 29th to May 1st, where we have identified a very small group of folks. We have a group of 10 who are going to be traveling to Boston to do an immersive experience in one of their project-based learning schools that we had the chance to visit previously. We have our 4 alternative education programs of distinction folks who are going to participate in that. And then we open that up through a lottery back out to everybody. So you should have gotten an email over the last several weeks, probably about a month ago now, with the opportunity to enter that lottery to be drawn to be able to go. And so we did a drawing. We actually used AI to do that. We put all the names into the chat GPT and said, here's everybody who requested to attend. Please select this many names from this random list. And so that's how we picked our folks who were going. And so we're really excited about that as well. So keep your eyes open for other opportunities coming in the fall to visit some other states and learn from them about what they're doing that's going really well.
Dr. Nolan?
Yes.
As we're talking about AI real quick, we've had an experience with it here in Christian County already with students inappropriately using AI. So we have had to make some changes and work with law enforcement because some students are taking pictures of other students' Instagram faces and putting them on inappropriate, that could almost be pornography type situations, which has led to law enforcement. So we're developing like a task force here to educate students on the proper way to use that because law enforcement is charging them with harassing communications at this point until I guess there's more definition of how this AI is going to work in with what's going on. Because I know at some point we won't be able to know the difference, whether it's an AI or whether it's real. And then our next thing is, okay, well, what if a student gets upset with their teacher and then their teacher's ended up on one of these type things? So just to let y'all know, we're experiencing that here. We've already had 2 cases that involve some girls that were very upset, as they should be, with the way that the pictures were displayed and shared out. But just to let you all know, they are extremely intelligent and know how to use this probably more than any of us do. But we're educating parents right now on what to look for so that these images don't go out.
Thank you, Kim. I appreciate that. I think with every new technology, new development of technology, we have this huge learning curve. And we always find the lowest common denominator when we use this stuff. We look for like the lowest bar. I don't know if that's just human nature or what is going on, but it seems to be kind of a theme that runs through every time we have an expansion of technology those things happen. So I appreciate that you guys are doing that. I will say that ChatGPT has made every picture I've ever taken of myself look better than I've ever looked in real life. So it does have some bonuses. Any other thoughts from anybody this morning? Well, again, I said at the beginning, I didn't see any way we were going to go till noon. I didn't want to. You all don't want to. You all have a full agenda and a full day to get to, but I appreciate all the time that you've committed this morning. If there was anything that we chatted about that you have additional questions about, please don't hesitate to reach out. And remember, we're always here. We're here for you guys. If you have questions or need additional supports, let us know. We'd be happy to do that. I just want to give a quick shout out before we get off of here this morning to Peggy and Angie, our program improvement folks who do our site visits all across Kentucky, who are doing an exceptional job. And I hope that you guys are enjoying their partnership as much as we are. I know they work incredibly hard to make sure that our students get what they need. So I just want to thank them publicly on here this morning for all of their work. I know they're sitting back there somewhere in this list of folks on my screen this morning. So thank you to them for being here as well. Again, I appreciate all of you and the time that you have spent with us this morning, but more importantly, the time that you spend with our students, making sure that they have the resources and the skills they need to be successful. That's really what it's about at the end of the day. So I know there's a lot going on, a lot of things, a lot of discussions that are happening across the state, across the country, that are impacting our work with federal investments and other things. So I know it's a stressful time to be in education, but I can't think of anything better to do with your time than invested in kids. So I know that you all believe that too. And so thank you all for your work and for partnering with us. And we look forward to a continued partnership in the future. And if you have any questions about anything, please let us know. Otherwise, have a great day and have a great end to your school year. Appreciate all of you.